Hello everyone, this is CJ Novo 992 and today we are back with another brand new video. Today's video, or tonight's video, looking at the time, we are finally here on Rangers transfer deadline day, and I know it's been a long day for a lot of us who sat there and waited, but if you think about it, Rangers on transfer deadline day would give the buses a run for the money, because you wait all day for one and five things end up dropping in the last hour of the window. So there's genuinely so much to break down, and we're going to cover it all in today's videos. The ins, the outs, the shaking it's all about. So without any further ado, let's get into this. And starting off with the first bit of transfer news that we got all freaking day, and that is the fact that Brandon Barker has left the football club to join Oxford on loan. Now I know that news right there will make some people very, very happy and other people slightly indifferent, as they feel they didn't get to see enough. For me, if I'm just being honest, I'm somewhere in between, sort of leaning towards the happy, because I look at Brandon Barker, right, and I seen a laddie who showed moments in games and moments throughout his time at Rangers. I'm looking at Porto away, where he was simply fantastic, one of the best players on the park for us that night, ran a shift, gave his absolute all. I'm thinking his fantastic goal versus Ross County earlier on in this season to make it 2-0 and wrap up all 3 points, which was vital for us at that point, because Ross County only been 1 up is always a nippy bum time moment. But again, it was always just moments with Brandon Barker, and every single time you sat back and went, oh, there's something right there. If we can just see more of that, if we could start stringing that together, what a player he could be for us, but it just never happened, ladies and gentlemen. Whether he was starting a couple of games or he got a couple of bench appearances, they would never be the exact same one. You'd say, right, there's son, but then he would vanish for the next 3 substitute appearances, and then he would come on, have a game, but then the next game he would pick up an injury and be away for 5-6 weeks. And again, I'm not blaming the laddie for getting hurt, but for me, that inconsistency on and off the park perfectly summarises his time at Rangers. But Brandon Barker, believe it or not, does leave Rangers Football Club this season having played 10 games, grabbing 2 goals and grabbing 0 assists, which isn't too bad if you consider 10 games in the league, 2 goals. It isn't that bad, but I think if you stretch back and you look at his entire Rangers career, he has played 26 games in all competitions and only scored 3 goals, and that right there kind of clears up the picture on why it's not worked out and why he's been loaned out today. Now again, this is just a loan move for 6 months until the end of the season, and come June he will be a Rangers player again and could possibly be up there fighting for his future. But I think if you take into consideration the Jordan Jones loan that we did speak about last week for Scott Wright, and we called it, he would be leaving out on loan very, very short. I think if you take that into consideration, and you take the consideration in the fact that we have went ahead and signed Scott Wright and actually paid to get him in, then loans out Brandon Barker, for me that tells you everything regarding whether Jordan Jones and Brandon Barker have a future at this football club, and for me, I just don't think they do. And if I'm honest, that's all I've really got to say for the Brandon Barker situation. I'm not going to dig in too deep and tear the laddie a new one for how many bad games or how many games he disappeared, because to me, there's just no point in it. This was a laddie that came to the football club with a lot of us scratching our heads if you go back to the actual signing video. But this was a Mark Allen signing, and he really thought he could be something. And I'm sure Brandon Barker gave absolutely everything to be a guy for Rangers, but it hasn't worked out, and that's football, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully now he can go down there, play for Oxford, whether he can turn that move into a permanent one or just get back playing football and show others what he can do. And I just hope he finds consistency on the park and consistency off the park, finds a team that is willing to do both of them. So best of luck to the English BB, hopefully he kills it. Now moving on to transfer number 2 that was announced by Rangers' Twitter just shortly after the Brandon Barker one. It is of course going to be none other than George Edmundson, the sort of second part of the equation we briefly mentioned in Jordan Jones, because rightly or wrongly they two will always be associated with each other when people think of either one of theirs time at Rangers. And we spent a lot of time talking about this, right? They went ahead and done what they'd done. For me, it was an absolute disgrace, and the fact that they were only caught out because someone leaked a picture, and the ramifications if they came back into training and they did have COVID, that could have been absolutely devastating to our season. So there will always be a part of me that is pissed off at two of them making such a silly, stupid decision. But at the same time, people can make mistakes. I've made plenty, ladies and gentlemen, and unfortunately George Edmundson's mistake has quite clearly cost him an opportunity of playing for his boyhood club Rangers, as he's now moved down to Derby. And if you look at who else we brought in the window that we will speak about in today's video, the fact that laddie Jack Simpson has took George Edmundson's number, for me, tells you everything you need to know about this one, that George Edmundson time is seemingly up at the football club. And again, there is no permanent at the end of this loan for Derby County, but I think the writing is on the wall for big George Edmundson. And still, even as I say it, there's frustration and anger there, because this is a laddie that is a fantastic player, and by all accounts is a fantastic laddie as well, but he's just blew it. And I think given all the noise and all that was out there surrounding this circumstance, we need to give a wee tip to the quarantine cap to Steven Gerrard in the way he handled not only Edmundson but Jordan Jones, because he said the right things in the media. He didn't throw the players underneath the bus, he had the players' backs. But I think no matter what was said and what we saw in training videos, we all knew at the first opportunity both players were going to be moved on for the football club. And I just think that he handled a tricky situation absolutely perfectly. And you compare that and the way he's handled that situation to other managers and the way they've handled things, it's just a different level of class. And for me, Gerrard's nailed this. I think the fact that he's went ahead and signed for Derby, the fact that he is injured, he wasn't able to do a medical or anything for that and sign under Wayne Rooney, probably tells you how good this laddie can be and how much belief in the confidence of his ability people have got, because they wouldn't have touched him either way. But Wayne Rooney's willing to give George Edmundson another chance of getting back playing football when he does get healthy. And again, just like the Brandon Barker one, I want nothing but success for the lad. And who knows, if he goes down there, puts out performance, becomes the fridge like we all know that he can be, and go ahead and bang out performances, maybe, just maybe, he can come back at the end of the loan and stake a claim for his Rangers future. I don't know about this one, ladies and gentlemen. I'd be very, very interested to know what your thoughts and opinions are now that George Edmundson has been loaned out to Derby and obviously been replaced, and his numbers already been replaced. I mean, George Edmundson hasn't even limped out the car park yet, and number 4's been ripped off him and slapped on Jack Simpson's back. So what's your opinion on not only Brandon Barker but George Edmundson? Do you agree with the decision to loan these boys out? But enough talking about transfers outs, then shall we? Let's flip over and get to the most exciting parts of today's video, and that's officially unveiling / talking / reacting to the latest signings at this football club. And the first one in the door during this January transfer window was none other than a man we briefly mentioned during the George Edmundson section, and that is your man Jack frickin' Simpson. And as you may or may not be able to remember, we made a full video on Jack Simpson breaking down everything you need to know about the player. So if you haven't seen that, again, I will leave that down there in the description below. But for me, this bit of business is so damn clever, and the fact that we've went ahead and got him and brought him in early, so again he can learn the way we like to play, get amongst it, learn for the likes of Goldson, Hollander, Balogun, have that 6 months experience before he was even expected to be in amongst it, is going to be invaluable for this young laddie and invaluable for us as a football team. Again, like I said in the previous video, I'm not expecting him to come in here, just push everybody out the way and be a first team starter. Nah. I'm expecting him to take the sort of George Edmundson role at the football club, being that young laddie that's learning and improving and being there if we need him in case of injuries and knocks and maybe even possibly cup games. That's the role I think Jack Simpson is going to have at the football club. But that's very, very important to have people, especially where George Edmundson found himself and need to move on. Now that we've once again solidified, which is arguably the rock that's built this season, and that is the centre-back spot, for me, leaves me very confident in going in to the second half of the season, because there will be people that are saying, what was the point in bringing him when we've got Goldson, Hollander, Leon Balogun? What is the point? He's never going to play. We have absolutely no idea what's going to happen in the second half of this season with injuries and all that stuff. Touch wood, nothing happens, and we don't need to see Jack Simpson flung right in to the starting 11. But the fact that he is there now, and the fact that Steven Gerrard and Ross Wilson have both wanted to sign this laddie for a year, gives me so much confidence and so much belief, because this isn't a signing that we've just made on a whim because we wanted to get rid of George Edmundson because of that stupid party incident. We've not just went and says, oh, we'll take him, he's on a pre-contract, let's get him in to sit about. No, this has been officially confirmed by the Bournemouth manager that Gerrard wanted him a year ago at the Football Club. So this is well scouted, well calculated, and the fact that we got him for the price that we did is nothing short of tremendous, especially given the offers that the laddie had elsewhere down south for probably a lot more moolah. And before we go ahead and finish up with the last bit of transfer news, the last thing we need to do for Jack Simpson is welcome him to the Football Club and also ask you your thoughts and opinions. Now the big laddie, the 6'3" SOB is here 6 months early. But last but not least now, ladies and gentlemen, and what has been an incredibly long day that I'm sure a lot of you watching today's video was like me. You sat there every hour refreshing the Twitter account on Rangers, just hoping and praying that we would go ahead and announce things. And as you can see throughout today's video, we literally waited to the last hour to go ahead and announce all of this. But there is one last thing that we need to talk about in today's video, and it is none other than the man from Aberdeen that I've already made 2 videos on this month, 2 full videos on this month. But don't worry, if you are a channel legend, if you sit and watch our videos and have a conversation, I'm not wanting to bore you guys, I'm not wanting to sit here and repeat everything I've said about Scott Wright. So again, once again, the links will be down there if you did miss that. But for me, the third and final time is the charm, because we finally got the answer to the question on whether or not we were going to get him in January. And for me, that is so damn important going in to the second half of the season. And again, because we kind of knew this was going to happen, I've seen some opinions and people were firing in to the comments. You know how active I am, I like to dive in there and talk. And some people were commenting saying, what is the point in bringing him in here? We could have waited to January and not paid a single penny. But for me, it was important we get him in, especially considering the business that we've done. Jordan Jones is gone. Barker is gone. When you look at our winger position, which was once stacked beyond belief, got a little bit bare. So the fact that we've been able to go ahead and get a player of Scott Wright, who again Steven Gerrard rates very, very highly, is exactly what we need if we want to go ahead and keep this consistency up and keep the freshness up in what will be a very, very long campaign, especially when European football and that comes in. Scott Wright can naturally refresh and come in and play 3 different positions. He can give Kent a game off or 2. He can come in the hole just behind the striker, and he can play, more importantly, on the right hand side. And I think that, as the season goes on, if we want to keep the level of consistency we've seen in the first half, players like that and who are flexible and who's got that quality, it's going to be massive. Now, something else that's going to be massive is going to be the talking point regarding the moolah that took him to get to the Football Club, to get him away from Aberdeen early. Now, again, Rangers didn't come ahead and go ahead and give you the exact fee, but the most consistent fee I've been able to find out there from the media, Sky Sports, or that malarkey, is that we have paid £150,000 to get him up the road to Rangers in January. But it isn't just as simple as that, because you're looking at a player of his quality at 150k. That isn't exactly a questionable deal, and you say, I can understand that. It may be 3 Glenn Kamaras, but not many people are as good as Glenn Kamara, and we'll never see a deal like that again. But the deal does take a very interesting turn, because it directly involves another player that's kind of in between the Rangers and Aberdeen bracket, and that is none other than Ross McCrory, who, if you remember, is on loan from Rangers to Aberdeen, who was going to sign a permanent deal at the end of that loan. It was already agreed. We couldn't change it. We couldn't pull it back. He was always going to sign for Aberdeen at the end of the season. But the way Rangers have worked this with Aberdeen is that now that Scott Wright is officially a Rangers player, well, so is Ross McCrory. He is now officially an Aberdeen player. He is no longer listed as on loan. The deal has been changed, so he is a permanent, and he can obviously play against us, and Scott Wright can obviously play against them. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, the last thing that we need to do is welcome Scotty Wright to the Football Club, and I can't wait to see him pull on the Rangers jersey. Unlike Jack Simpson, I think we're going to see quite a bit of Scott Wright, especially coming in for the bench. His pace, his trickery, I think it's going to be vital for us in the second half of the season, or at least I hope it is, because I have took some amount of flack, especially that first video where I was thrown on the fire by some people for daring saying that we were interested in Scott Wright. But now that he's here, I've put my money where my mouth is. But as Rocky and I were saying, I'm doubling down. I believe he will be a very important player for Rangers, and fingers crossed now, Scott, please didn't let me down. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It has been a very, very long day. Hopefully you're enjoying today's video, and if you've made it to this point in today's video, I greatly appreciate all your support, because by the time this video goes up, it's going to be about 1:30, maybe even 2 o'clock. So I greatly appreciate anyone that's currently watching and taking that time out of your morning to sit here and talk about Rangers things with me. But everything on the table, if you've shared your opinion, I will see yous down in the description below. For me, it's been a fantastic transfer window, and as it's been reported, Rangers now are better financially with the way we've worked these deals, even bringing the boys in, than when we were when we started the window with the way we've worked players out. And for me, that once again just underlines the job that Ross Wilson is doing at this football club, and long may that continue. But as always, I've been CJ Nova92. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and bye.